Hello everybody, Howard Flies Productions here, and today we are at Turin on the A2A Cessna 172R, and today we will do another VFR navigation cross-country to Yarram Airport. Yarram is a small, once again, private airstrip, 70 miles in this flight to the southeast of Turin, and is a popular destination, I believe. And so today we're going to navigate there with primarily with the most with pilotage and dead reckoning, and I'm going to have the GPS on as a secondary means of navigation, just in case if anything happens. But we're not going to be relying on the GPS this time. So without further ado, let's get started. So I finished the pre-flight. We have 160 liters of fuel in total, so plenty of fuel for today's flight. Planned for 35 liters an hour, plenty of fuel. Because of the tailwinds, we are planning ground speeds of up to 142 knots, and we should be done in just over half an hour. So let's get going. Let's get this thing started. So first star of the day, of course. Trim is set. Let's do my flight controls. Right, that's right. And flight controls are free and correct. Throttle open a quarter of an inch. Master on. Right, cold engine, so it'll be fuel pump on. Mixture full rich for 3 to 5 seconds. And kill the fuel pump. Mixture back to off. Clear prop. Move the mixture to rich. Throttle to 1000 RPM. Check the mags. Put my headsets on. Avionics on. Taxi nav lights on. Flaps up. Get a bit of heat in here. Get a tiny little bit of air in here as well, just to even it out. Close the window and lean the mixture out halfway. And so autopilot set at 3,500. That's good. We're cruising at 3,500. We're not going to use the autopilot today. I'm just going to set it just in case if we need it. I like to test the annunciator panel now since we're warming up. GPS is on, radios are on, frequency is set. Transponder 1200, that's good. Put on standby just for now. And so how's the temperature out there? 9 degrees, nice and chilly. Of course, I'm using Active Skynext real weather, and yeah, it's going to be pretty interesting. We have a strong wind coming out from the north. So we are going to take off runway 04. I'm going to set the runway heading here, 044. And this is gonna be pretty interesting. So northwesterly wind. We are forecasting winds up to 29 knots. 29 knots with a tailwind, around 20 knots with a tailwind on this cross country. So it's gonna be pretty quick cross country, but that's what I wanted, just a quick cross country today. And yeah, so we'll see how it goes. So basically we are letting the engine warm up here. Basically what we are letting the engine do, is we're letting all the components to have oil all over them, so they're going to have proper lubrication and sealing. And oil has oil temperature basically allows you to gauge your oil viscosity. So basically, the lower the temperature, the higher the viscosity. So you want the oil temperature to be up to the green arc for the oil to be loose enough to lubricate the components. And you don't want to really go above 1000 RPM at this stage. You want to let the engine warm for a bit, at least I think off the stops, and then we can go only slightly above 1000 RPM, 1200 RPM for further warm up. But as a rule of thumb, 1000 RPM are what flight schools teach. But yeah, so basically no sudden engine accelerations during warm-up, absolutely none of that. And during warm-up, of course, mixture should be leaned. accordingly to prevent the spark plug fouling. I just finished sort of like a 50-hour inspection on this aircraft. It has just gone past 50 hours on the airframe. Pretty good actually. Changed the oil, changed the spark plug. Should be running pretty well. And if you haven't already noticed, I actually run the A2A Cessna 172R like any other real plane. So I do have periodic inspections. So 25 hours change oil, 50 hours inspection, etc., etc. That's pretty good. And that's one of the reasons why I really like A2A aircraft is they model maintenance really well. And that's what I really like. So we are 3 minutes according to the ADF. Normally with this multi-weight oil, we should see some oil temperature rise at about 5 minutes. Normally, warm-up should be complete at 8 minutes, and we should have oil temperatures in the green. So multi-weight oil. Most people use straight weight, but I do recommend multi-weight after 50 hours of running because it is more sort of stable, the viscosity, and it does warm up faster, and it doesn't tend to heat up as much. I mean, the straight weight oil, a lot of people use it not because it's good, it's because it's cheap. Multi-weight really is the way to go. If you want engine longevity and flexibility, good operation, and etc. Those stuff. 4 minutes now. Let's see. The oil temperature is, I think, just moved off the stops. Yeah, the oil temperature just moved off the stops. Keeping it at 1,000, pretty good. Nicely leaned. On the ground, you really don't need to worry about detonation or pre-ignition or overheating the engine, especially the cylinders, because you're at such a low RPM. Basically, if you pull the mixture out too much, all it's gonna do is the engine will quit. Nothing will happen. You won't hurt the engine, really. So, really, you know, leaning aggressively on the ground is encouraged, and it's safe. You're not going to overheat the engine. Just remember to go full rich before applying full throttle for takeoff or for run-up. Just remember, leaning the mixture is a good habit. So a lot of people tend to leave the mixture full rich, and all you're doing is asking for trouble from the spark plug department. So yeah, my advice is just to leave the mixture leaned at least an inch. I usually go out halfway. I don't care because you're on the ground. If the engine quits, just restart it. It doesn't matter. At least that's my opinion. I usually do that. I lean the mixture out halfway. Right, we can taxi ourselves into the wind and prepare for run-ups since oil temperature is warm enough. Test the brakes. Be careful about revving the engine up too much. At this stage, the oil temperature is still a bit low. We're gonna stop here, facing into the wind. Northerlies today, so facing north. And you preferably want to run up with your aircraft facing into the wind if possible, because that would allow for cooling for the cylinder heads, because you don't have the airflow cooling in the air when you're flying along. And so yeah, but if you can't, then don't force it. As long as you can do it under safe circumstances, do it, but don't force it if you can't. Because it's very rare that you'll overheat the cylinders ever on a engine run-up. Personally, I've never heard of that happening before, unless you're doing a really long run-up, which, by the way, you're not meant to anyway. Let's do the cigars check. So controls, that's the acronym for run-up. Instruments, T's and P's are nearly in the green. It's gonna wait. It's gonna wait for now. Annunciator panel's good. Control instruments. Yeah, gas. So fuel selector on both. Make sure full rich. Airframe and area is good. Let's just go 1200 RPM and just gonna wait for the oil temperature to rise just ever so slightly. When you're close to the green, you can rev it up to 1200 RPM, but nothing more than that. Absolutely nothing more than that, or else you'll just be asking for trouble. Right, instruments are in the green, I believe. Is it close? That's close enough. That's good for me. Throttle 1800. Check that the brakes are holding, and they are. Left, both, right, good drop, both, and T's and P's are in the green, and check the idle, make sure it doesn't quit at idle. No, it doesn't. Back to 1000. Lean the mixture out again. Right, just to avoid the fuss, get the lights on, get the transponder to an altitude, and let's taxi out onto runway 04 for a straight out departure, and then our first heading will be 114 degrees. Right, entering the runway, so mixture to full rich. Backtracking 04. See the winds 310 at 6 knots. So a slight crosswind from the left expected. So I need more right rudder as usual. I'm gonna expect the aircraft to crab to the left. Right. 6 knots, not much down here on the ground honestly, but when you get up in the air, it's gonna, I presume it might get a bit bumpy today, but should be completely manageable. No reports of any turbulence, more than moderate, so that should be fine. Right, 04 on the DG, 04 on the compass, 04 confirmed. Full throttle. RPM is good, T's and P's are good, airspeed is coming alive. There's 55, gentle rotate. Let the aircraft crab into the wind, let the aircraft accelerate. And then adopt the climb attitude. I'm just gonna hold this heading, so we're gonna track the runway center line. Right, 300 feet will be flaps up, fuel pump off, oil T's and P's are in the green. Straight out departure. Actually, no, let's do a crosswind departure. Yeah, crosswind. 500 and then turn crosswind. Crosswind departure. Right, 1,000 feet and we'll go on our first heading. Start our timer. Our first heading is 114. That's around here. Yeah, that's around here. Let's go cruise climb. So we have better visibility and engine cooling. Got the timer started. We should expect 4.7 minutes to 3,500 feet. And then our second heading will be 120 when we are at our level off point. Right, T's and P's are still looking good. And we're steadily climbing. (2,000 feet now). And I just saw the wind indication. I just cheated a bit. It's 19 knots up here now. It is getting windier and windier up here, up high. Which is pretty normal. Wind usually dies down when you're going low because of the ground. Right, 1,000 feet to go. 1 minute and 43 on the timer. As usual, we will level off sooner than expected because I usually flight plan for a less optimistic rate of climb. Now we're going to be flying to Yarram via Leongatha Airport. So we're going to overfly Leongatha. That's one of our intermediate points. 3,000 feet now. 500 to go. Looking good, looking good. Two and a half minutes on the timer. And then once we level off, we're going to do the clear off checks after we log our time on our nav log. $50 feet to go, 100 feet, 50 feet to go, and leveling off. Stop the timer. 3 minutes. We'll go. And next heading 120. Start the timer. 83 minutes. And next we are looking at 8 minutes on the timer at 120. So clear off. Course 120. Log is good. Engine T's and P's are good. Course log engine. What's the next one? I forgot. Jeez. Crap. This is embarrassing. I forgot to clear off checks. Okay. Gonna skip that. Radio is good. Oil T's and P's are good. Fuel is sufficient. Okay, course log engine something, I forgot. Alright, course log engine altimeter, yeah, altimeter set. There we go. Yeah, that's the clear off check. Right, let's look for some landmarks. High ground over there, yep. Basically our only landmark that we can use, unfortunately. So, yeah. See, our ground speed is 140 knots, which is as expected. 140 knots of ground speed. Pretty good, if you ask me. I'm liking this ground speed. We are right on schedule. Clear off checks are complete. All we're gonna do is monitor and keep this, just keep this heading basically. Keep this heading, keep this altitude, and yeah. Just make sure nothing is going wrong. I like not using autopilot because it keeps you on your toes. It keeps you flying the plane, and it's fun. It's just overall very fun. And I like this form of traditional navigation. It's very challenging. It is fun. It prepares me for real life. Yeah, it's just fun. It's a small town. I'm liking this. Right, coming up 3 minutes now, 5 minutes out. First waypoint is Leongatha Airport. Leongatha, we should expect a township to the left of Leongatha when we're approaching from here. So basically, again, getting back on that principle, when you're spotting something, you start from the large scale and then slowly scale it down. So you spot the large stuff and then slowly start caring about the details, which is a good way of ensuring that you're looking at the right thing, and it's just logical. Start small and you, start big and then you slowly get to the small details. Right, Leongatha is just slightly off the left of our nose. I guess we expected that because I think, yeah, we are getting actually, we're getting more of a crosswind than usual, so we're starting to be blown off to the right. But this is only a half-mile deviation. You might not see Leongatha, you might think I'm crazy, but I see it from my screen. So yeah, I think we should be on schedule. I think we should be pretty on schedule because our ground speed's pretty close to what we were forecast, and our true airspeed right now we're flying at 115. Should be around thereabouts. I don't really check it. I usually just file for 115. Cessnas perform like that. Yep, that's Leongatha right there. Township off to the left. Yep, that's it. Leongatha. That's Leongatha. Township off to the left. Yep, that's it. That's Leongatha. So remember, when we're over a waypoint, we go time, turn, and talk if we need to talk. But time and turn in that sequence. You get the timer done first, and then you turn. And then if you need to, you can start talking. If you haven't noticed, I have actually turned down my scenery settings slightly, so it doesn't have those freezes. But yeah, I know. Stop saying that. I know that I need to get a new computer, and yeah, I will be getting it soon. All right, so bear with me, guys. Bear with me. Township, and that's Leongatha. That's it. That's Leongatha. 6 minutes, approaching 7 minutes now. We should be basically on time. Slightly ahead of schedule. I wouldn't be complaining really if I'm slightly ahead of schedule. we're pretty well on track. We're just a quarter of a mile off at most. I'm pretty impressed. Okay, so that's pretty good, but we're gonna wait until we're truly overhead, then we'll do the time turn talk, or else it's not gonna be accurate. Our next heading will be 080, so left turn. Don't know why the trees aren't loading up. Bit slow. Because I'm traveling fast in the sim, so scenery takes a while to load up, but that's fine. I promise you I'll get a new computer soon. So yeah, we're roughly overhead, so time right at 8 minutes. I'm gonna log it down first. Turn 080. And don't need to talk because we're not on that sim. Right, we're on the next heading. Onwards to Yarram. Alright, this leg will be our final leg, obviously, and it will be 18 minutes long. And we are going to descend at so 18 minutes. So we're gonna descend when the timer indicates 12 minutes. Basically 6 minutes out of Yarram, we're gonna start our descent at a rate of 500 feet a minute to 1,500 feet for a crosswind join of runway 05. I reckon we'll be using. So, course, log, engine, altimeter, radio, oil T's and P's and fuel. I mean, orientation and fuel. Orientation's good, right? Okay. You want to try to track it as accurately as possible. We are expecting some high ground, so we want accurate tracking because our planned route guarantees us terrain clearance. So tracking it as accurately as possible would guarantee us terrain clearance. So we're expecting some high terrain, but that's just a part of it. That's fine. And we see the high terrain and we're off to the right of it, so it's good. That means we're on track. And I don't mind if we're slightly right of track for terrain clearance. That's completely fine on my watch. We are getting a slightly lower ground speed than expected, 134 knots. We expected to get 140 actually. That's alright. Yeah, that's alright. Oh no, actually, we're slightly slow. We're slightly slower than expected. Oh, okay, that's fine. Still getting a tailwind, still getting more ground speed than our true airspeed, so that's good. That's always good. Altitude, 50 feet off. Right, looking good there. That's our track is looking good. 12 minutes we start our descent. So we're 8 minutes out for our descent. Just trying to fly this heading as accurately as possible. Probably gonna get some turbulence off the hills when we fly over it, so gotta get ready for that. But the weather is improving. And Yarram, we would expect to land on the grass runway. See if FSX is accurate on this respect. Grass runway, runway 05. We should have 1,000 meters usable. So runway length shouldn't be an issue. But runway surface could be an issue. Could be soft, bumpy fields. So I want to put it down as smoothly as possible. I want to avoid heavy braking actually. A soft field technique, that's what I want to do. Soft field technique, interestingly, is not actually taught in normal syllabuses in Australia. I know American viewers will find this odd, because in America I believe you guys do soft field, but we don't. We only do short field at most. Because I believe most of our fields are well maintained enough for not actually needing a soft field technique. But I think doing a soft field technique on these fields, you know, less damage on the landing gears. So I think it's good. And if anybody in Australia wants to correct me for that, go ahead. I was never taught soft field technique. I was never tested on soft field technique. At least for my recreational license, I was never tested on that. I was only ever tested on short field, and it's honestly not as specific as in the US. You basically just, you know, put it down, heavy braking, that's it. That's the only difference, really. Right, okay. Seems to be a bit of low cloud hanging up over these hills. But I think we have the cloud clearance. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna keep going. Yeah, it's one hell of a low cloud. And we're being pushed around a bit. Seems like we are tracking slightly left of course we are. So let's just do this heading for a bit. This is 085. Let's just do this heading for a bit for course correction. No, actually I think we should be pretty on course. Stick with 080. Don't want to be in this cloud. We're being pushed up. Getting some updrafts here. Fuel, radio, engine, DI, and altimeter. That's good. Updrafts. I got descending terrain to my right, so in case I have an engine failure, I turn to my right 90 degrees straight away. Left is no good options, basically. Got rising terrain to my left now. And again, descending terrain to my right. That's pretty dandy if you ask me. That's good. That's good for me. So we're tracking straight and true for Yarram, pretty good. I'm happy about our progress right now. We're closing in on our descent. We're 4 minutes out on our descent now, on the last half of our journey to Yarram. Pretty quick if you ask me. We've only been running for 33 minutes according to the ADF. Only been running for 33 minutes, so pretty good. This tailwind's really, I like tailwinds after all. Tailwind's really helping us getting to get through this. We got 2 minutes out for our descent. We're descending soon. 500 feet a minute to 1,500 feet. I got all of these jotted down on the nav log notes page, so I don't miss it. I already did prior planning for my descent, so good planning, good on me, I guess. So we have descending terrain to our front now, but if we have an engine failure, we're going to turn around 30 degrees off to our right, so we have less distance to glide to safety. While flying through these mountainous terrains, you actually want to keep on thinking about escape routes. In case if you have engine failure or any other issue, you can escape into descending terrain. That's why you always want to have descending terrain to your either left or right side. So in case of engine failure, you're actually gaining height over the descending terrain. So you gain an edge, you gain better chance to live. Right, 1 minute out to our descent now. Let's do one more freedom. So fuel, radio, engine, T's and P's, DI to compass, and altimeter is set. Let's see. Let's see if we can get Yarram. Let's just get close to station. 1020. 1020. Yeah, it's set. Okay, yeah, altimeter's set. Downdraft as usual, as expected. Right, 30 seconds out to descent. So let's prepare. We're good. Yeah, we're good. Yeah, let's start our descent. We can do it slightly early. All I'm gonna do is just pull the power back ever so slightly. It's fine-tuning the power for 500 feet per minute descent. I'm not doing anything to the trim or anything. I'm doing minimal work on the elevator. I want to get speed on the descent. Alright, I want to get enough speed on the descent. So yeah, we just gained 5 knots from our descent. So pretty good. 120 knots now. Our ground speed should be increasing. There's a good way of using your descent to your advantage. And we plan our descent right on. We are descending as the terrain falls away from us. That's the most ideal descent that you want. Good terrain clearance, good timing. What I'm doing is just fine-tuning the power, just to find that 500 feet per minute sweet spot, and we can just leave it there. That's it, and it's descending itself at 500 feet per minute. Doesn't take that much persuasion. 3,000 feet now. 115 knots. See our ground speed. 140 knots, pretty good. Oh, slight updraft. Pull that power back slightly, get that 500 feet a minute again. Alright, let's see if that is Yarram. I suspect that is Yarram. Yarram, on our current track, we should fly past the township just before we reach Yarram. So that's our main waypoint, sort of. Right, okay. Yarram should be pretty hard to spot because it is sort of a dirt grass strip, so it should be a good challenge, actually. I like this. I like this sort of stuff. I'm descending accurately. I'm tracking accurately. Vaguely. Let's see, Yarram is by the coast, obviously. Yep, it is on the GPS database, that's good. That means we're not descending into a whole bunch of nothingness. We're actually descending into an airport, that's good. We're getting a bit smoother down here now. Pretty good. .500 feet to go. These airports that are hard to spot, the GPS is a valuable tool. So don't think that you're cheating just because you're using a GPS. You're not. Oh, Yarram's over there. See, we're slightly right, of course, because I did that intentionally because of the high ground. I was a bit scared. Okay, yeah, that's Yarram. Bring us in a bit closer to verify. It's not verified yet, so we don't know if it's just a group of buildings or is it actually Yarram. So currently we're flying 2 there. Slightly right of track, but that's alright. So we're doing a course correction now, 070. Do a course correction to the left. See the track, around track not good enough, so we're gonna correct more. 1500, we're gonna pull it back to circuit power now. Want to slow down now. Slow down so we can see things a bit clearer as well. And once it's confirmed... Ooh, I forgot to set my runway heading. That should be part of my descent checks, actually, just setting the runway heading. Okay, that's good. Because the DG is actually really useful in runway orientation, like sort of figuring out. That's it, that's Yarram. Township, Yarram, that's it. That's Yarram. Yep, confirmed. So now we can get everything out of the way, prepare for landing. So getting our mood back to circuit mode. We're going to keep this height, and we're going to swing over to the non-active side and descend from there and join a crosswind. I don't want to join straight in, I don't really like doing that. Usually when I end up joining straight in, I end up stuffing up the landing some way. So yeah, don't like doing it. Just don't like it, just not my style. I know it saves time and everything, but it's not my style. Scenery slowly loading up. Yep, it is a grass runway it looks like, so it'll be pretty interesting. It's funny, I have a bit of an enigma because these grass runways don't actually have runway numbers on it. Yeah, even in real life they don't have runway numbers on it, most of them, so you are relying on your own wits, really, making sure that you're not on the wrong runway. But again, not a lot of runway, so you can't really get it wrong. Looks like this is an Aussie X scenery as well. Nice. It was a bit blurry. Right, turning off my map. No more distractions. I want to concentrate on my landing. A bit low, 50 feet low. I'm going to correct for that. .15 is our minimum rejoin height. Yeah, that's a runway. That's runway 05 right there. See what the wind's doing. .300 at 8. Jeez. Are you kidding me? Direct crosswind. Oh, it's actually slightly favoring 300 at 8. Yeah, it is actually slightly favoring 23. Okay. Let's do a runway change then. Let's do a runway change. Let's fly over there. Let's not descend. Let's fly over there because now our non-active side will be down there. So let's fly to the non-active side of 23 and let's just land. Yeah, I'll reset my DG. 230. Yeah, so just being a part of being a pilot is just a part of it. You know, you just need to adapt to new conditions. You know, conditions are always changing. So who's to say that, you know, conditions always change. So, you know, gotta deal with it. Gotta be smart and deal with it. We can start a gentle descent. Well, we're gonna go for a crosswind join. We want to be on the extended center line at 1,000 feet, since that's our circuit height. And in real life, because the scenery and everything will be better, of course, in real life, flying overhead allows you to judge where the wind is coming from. So you can, because you can see the runway, you can see the windsock and everything. That's why I prefer overhead joins. Or at least joining crosswind and stuff like that. So I like it. It's good stuff, good fun. Yeah, we can go for the crosswind. The scenery's starting to load up now. Everything's starting to look much better. Typical country Victoria, loving it. Just missing some waltzing Matilda as a background sound, background noise. So we're expecting crosswind from our right. This will be pretty interesting. Try grease this landing. Gonna turn onto downwind. Brakes, undercarriage, mixture, fuel, instruments, switches, hatches, harnesses. Secure. Forgot to reset my timer. There we go, got that fixed. Alright, gonna get back to 1,000. That's good. That's a grass runway there. Green grass with green surroundings, so it's a bit hard to spot. No centerline markings, no runway markings. This is typical country Australia for you. This is a telephone pole. Massive telephone tower there. Nice. Loving it. Love this. Love this sort of flying. It's just fun. Absolutely fun. Right, let's actually come in at 65 knots instead of 70. I don't want to run out of runway. And I don't want to roll too long because I need to backtrack the runway to get back to the apron. There's a massive telephone pole right in front of me. Set for a slightly longer final because of the wind, so one stage and turn wide arc, second stage. Don't go below 75. Don't want to risk a stall spin. So we're having a headwind on base. So we can expect to turn slightly later than usual. But don't turn too late. Alright, I like to turn now, a bit early, but it's alright. Keep that nose down, don't want to let the speed bleed off too much. Okay, runway was a bit hard to spot. I see it. Right, bit off to the left. Right, full flaps. Right, at 500. Slowing down to 65 now. We're light, so yeah, 65 is fine. Good margin above stall. And not too fast, not like 70 knots. Crosswind from my right, so I'm expecting crabbing to the right. That's good. Right, okay, everything's looking good. 300 pitch undercarriage flap. Clear of obstacles, that's good. There you go, that's the runway. That's it. That's 2323. Confirmed. Oof. Somewhat ran out of elevator that time. I flared early. I flared early. I ran out of elevator. Okay. We're down. See? That's why I like using 70 knots more. I should have used 70 knots because the runway is actually longer than I thought. Whoops. Okay. Anyway. Anyway. That wasn't too terrible of a landing. It wasn't good though. Let's taxi back. Flaps up. Pull that mixture out. Right, we need to taxi onto the dirt ultralight runway. Ultralight and glider ops, I think. These are. Oh, so welcome to a typical country airstrip in Australia. This is how everything looks like. That's why there's a Black Hawk. Jeez. Jeez. Calm down. There's a Black Hawk. I guess that's just static scenery stuff. So, yeah. There's a Black Hawk. That's actually really cool. I love these sort of Easter egg style stuff on the simulators. Is it? Oh, the rotor's moving everything. That's cool. That is cool. That is really cool. That's cool. These runways are really long. Damn, they don't seem that long on the Ursa. These are completely long. This runway's complete. I'd rather land on this runway. You can easily see it. It's not like that grass runway which blends into its surroundings. But oh well. And here we are. Yarram Airport, everybody. Typical country Australian airstrip. There's a room, there's a hangar, people's cars, a camper van. You know, typical camping destination. Alright. Get me lights off. Taxi in, shut down, get out, say a bit of a hi. Well, there's no real life, but if it's real life, I get down. Air BP. That's what we use. Nice. If this was real life, I would be actually phoning the airport operators like, yo, where do you want me to park? Let's watch the DC-3. Park considerately. Yeah, I think this is a good place for us to park. Just here. Brakes on. Avionics master off. Pull that power back a bit. Get that dead cut check. Back to 1200. Clear out the spark plugs. Let the RPM stabilize. That means the spark plugs are sufficiently clear. Right, that looks all right. Cut the power. I mean, cut the mixture. Sorry. Master. I mean mags and master. Fuel selector. That's it. That's there. Control locks. And open the left door. Step out. Empty the plane. Close the left door. Wheel chocks, tie downs, and the pitot cover. Oh, we're parked on a bit of an incline, are we? Okay, that's interesting. So welcome to Yarram, everyone. This is the Yarram Airport, everyone. That's it. Typical country Australian airstrip. Probably owned by a farmer, most likely. Pretty good. So it's been nice having you on board today on our short flight to Yarram. So yeah, and as usual, have fun, fly safe.